there! Kamusta? Today we will be helping someone with her assignment sa itong way or paraan para ma-review na siya sa kanyang darating na college entrance examination. Ano nga bang mga tanong niya? At sino nga ba siya? Let's watch this.
Assignment namin. Ngayon naman, nag-chat sa TC namin. May assignment ko sa math. Teka nga, babasahin ko. Number 1. Ano ang quadratic inequality? Number 2. Paano mag-solve ng quadratic inequality in one variable? Number 3. Ano-ano ang mga dapat tandaan sa pagsusolve?
So, meron kang tatlong katanungan. We will answer that one by one. I will help you. Only here in Solve It with Sir Jude. So today, we will be discussing about quadratic inequalities. Actually, when we talk about quadratic inequalities, it comes in two forms. Because may one variable, meron siyang two variables. Ano bang pinagkaiba nila? At ano bang pinagkaparehas? So this is actually in Module 1, Lesson 5 in the first quarter, Mathematics 9. So our objective for this discussion will be to illustrate quadratic inequality. Ano bang distinct sa kanya? Ano bang pinagkaiba ni quadratic inequality sa ibang mathematical idea or mathematical statements? Let us have it one by one. So yung katulad na sinabi ko, yung una, one variable. So quadratic inequality in one variable, una muna tayo, is a mathematical statement in one variable with a polynomial of degree 2. Anong ibig sabihin ng degree 2 na yan? So, it refers to the highest exponent of the polynomial. So, it can be written in the following forms. There are actually four forms. The first one is ax squared plus bx plus c is less than 0. The second one, ax squared plus bx plus c is greater than 0. The third one is ax squared plus bx plus c is less than or equal to 0. The fourth one is ax squared plus bx plus c is greater than or equal to 0. So kung mapapansin natin, ano bang pinagkaiba niya sa quadratic equation? Kapag ka-quadratic equation, ang nakikita natin sa mathematical statement ay equal sign. Meron din siyang polynomial na ang highest exponent ay 2. Ang pinagkaiba nila, yung quadratic equation, equal sign. Pero kapag ka-quadratic inequality ang pinag-uusapan, we will be using, of course, the inequality symbols. What are those? Less than, greater than, less than equal, or greater than equal. So there is a restriction here. So, parehas nung sa quadratic equation, na kailangan yung a, b, and c are real numbers and a should not be equal to 0. So, ano naman kapag sinabing quadratic inequality in two variables? So obviously, we will be using two variables. Have there the variables x and y. And this y can be replaced as f of x or function of x. So it is a mathematical statement with a polynomial of degree 2 that can be written in the following forms. Kung yung one variable may 4 forms, dito rin sa two variables, meron ding 4 forms. Yun nga lang, yung 0 aalisin natin, papalitan natin siya ng y. So the first one is y, or f of x, is less than ax squared plus bx plus c. The second one is y is greater than ax squared plus bx plus c. The third one, y is less than or equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. And then the fourth one, we have y is greater than or equal to ax squared plus bx plus c. So, if we are going to compare, so yung una, walang y. Kasi nga one variable lang siya. And then this one, since two variables, we will be using the variables x and y. Okay? So, we will still be following the same restrictions. A, B, and C must be an element of real numbers and the value of A should not be equal to 0. Paano ba natin malalaman na ang isang mathematical statement ay quadratic inequality? Take a look at these mathematical statements. Sino ba sa kanila ang quadratic inequality? at sino ang hindi. We will be discussing them one by one. So sample set 1, so we need to determine which of the following are quadratic inequality and which are not. So the first 5 examples are here, given here. Number 1, y is equal to 4x minus 1. So para maging quadratic inequality, kailangan ang highest exponent ay 2. That's number 1. The second one, condition that we will be considering, kailangan may inequality symbol. Si number 1 ba? May highest exponent ba siya na 2 or degree 2? So doon pa lang sa number 1, hindi niya na nasunod. So therefore, number 1 is not a quadratic inequality. So let us take a look at number 2. So for number 2, we are given with x squared plus 4x plus 3. Quadratic inequality kaya ito? Una, kailangan may quadratic term. Meron. The highest degree of this polynomial is 2. Take a look. We have here x squared. Pero, the second, meron ba siyang inequality symbol? Wala. So therefore, si number 2 ay very good. Not a quadratic inequality. By the way, si number 1 ay isang example ng lesson nito ng grade 8, linear equation. Well, number 2, discuss natin to nung tayo ay nasa quadratic equation, differentiating equation from expression. So this is a quadratic expression. Let us take a look at number 3. So for number 3, we are given with x squared is less than 1. First condition, meron ba siyang quadratic term? Meron. May inequality symbol ba siya? Meron. Therefore, number 2 is an example of quadratic inequality. Next, number 4. We are given with x squared minus 2x is less than 3. First condition. May quadratic term ba siya? Meron. Ang quadratic term ay x squared. Next, number 2 condition. May inequality symbol ba siya? Meron din. Very good. So therefore, si number 4 ay isang example of a quadratic inequality. Let us now go to the last example. Example number 5. So number 5, we have there y is greater than or equal to x squared minus 4x minus 5. Quadratic inequality kaya ito? Number 1, condition. Kinakailangan may quadratic term. May quadratic term ba siya? Meron. So that is x squared. Next, may inequality symbol ba siya? Meron din. So therefore, we can now say that this statement in number 5 is a quadratic inequality. Now, we need to sort those quadratic inequality kung sino ang gumamit ng 1 variable at kung sino gumamit ng 2 variables. So obviously, si number 3 at si number 4, since wala naman siyang y or f of x, we can say that these are example of quadratic inequalities in 1 variable. While for number 5, since we've used x and y, this is an example of a quadratic inequality in 2 variables. Let us now take a look at these examples. Alin sa kanila ang considered as quadratic inequality? Tatlong items sa kanila ang ating i-discuss today. Those are items 1, 3, and 5. The 2 remaining items will be para sa'yo. ikaw naman ang sasagot. That will be your assignment. Tara, sagutan natin. Item number 1 is given by this. We have 2x multiplied by the binomial x minus 1 is equal to 0. Kung titingnan natin, ang given na ito ay hindi quadratic dahil wala tayong quadratic term. Pero, kapag simplify natin ito, magkakaroon tayo ng quadratic term. I-multiply natin using distributive property. So, 2x times x, that will give me 2x squared.
2x times negative 1 equals negative 2x.
Is equal to 0. So, therefore, the result will be
2x squared minus 2x equals
the
0.
conditions that we need to satisfy. Number 1, may quadratic term ba? Sa ating resulta ngayon, meron ng quadratic term. Pero, yung number 2 condition, meron ba siyang inequality symbol? Wala. Therefore, si number 2 na condition ay hindi na-satisfy. So therefore, we can say
that 2x squared minus 2x equals 0
is not a quadratic inequality. Sumunod naman tayo sa item number 3. So item number 3, we are given with x squared is less than or equal to the square of the binomial x plus 3 as presented. Now, maaari mong sabihin na ito ay quadratic inequality na dahil meron tayong quadratic term at meron tayong inequality symbol. But let us first simplify the given. Remember na meron tayong square ng binomial. So if we are going to square this binomial, what will be the result? So the first thing that we should do is to square the first term. The first term is x. So therefore, that will be x squared. Next, to obtain the middle term, we need to multiply the first term and the last term, and then multiply it by 2. So x times 3, 3x times 2, we have 6x or positive 6x. And then to obtain the last term, that will be squaring the last term, or 3 in this case. So therefore, we have it as positive 9. The result will be x squared is less than or equal to x squared plus 6x plus 9. But take a look at this one. If we are going to simplify and combine similar terms, ano ang magiging resulta? If we are going to apply the additive inverse, it will become 0 is less than or equal to 6x plus 9. So if you can see, wala na siyang quadratic term. Even though meron siyang inequality symbol, wala naman siyang quadratic term. So therefore, this will be not a quadratic inequality. So let us now have example number 5. So that will be, we have y minus x squared is less than negative 4x plus 1 as presented. So if we are going to transpose negative x squared to the other side of the equation, we will be obtaining y is less than x squared minus 4x plus 1. So if you can see, ito ay nakapattern sa ating quadratic inequality in two variables. So therefore, we can say that this is an example of a quadratic inequality.
To sum up today's discussion, quadratic inequality is a mathematical statement with a polynomial of degree 2. This quadratic inequality has two forms. The first one is having one variable, and the second one is having two variables. So we have the different forms. For one variable, it is presented, and for the two variables, it is also presented like this. The main difference between one variable and two variables are the use of the variables itself. For one variable, we usually use x, and for two variables, we use y and x. So again, we can replace y with f of x or function of x. So these two follows the restriction a, b, and c are real numbers, and a should not be equal to 0.
Ah, ganun pala yun. Buti na lang nandyan si Sir Tatay para magturo.